Someone
happens. Technology.
someone someone started meeting the same account by mistake. So sorry everybody for the mess. Share your screen again and pick up from where we left.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Here we go. I don't know if we still want to wait for a couple minutes, but I'm going to start. I know the count is not as the number of participants is still below what we had before, but I'm going to start. But definitely ask me any questions afterwards if you missed part of it. So I was just saying about record low rates, right? The rates continue to remain at a very, very low level, below 3% for the last couple months or so. And it probably will stay below 3% for quite some time. And that's because, but that's not the only reason. People are catching up as well. We had a few months of loss in the last 3 or 4 months or so. Many people put their home buying and home selling process on hold, and now they're catching up. We have a home buying season that's being stretched out to a little longer now. Now it is not just August is the end of home buying season. It's actually stretched out a little longer, and part of the reason is also because the home buying season is a lot of time as was determined in the past by kids going back to school, right? But of course, many of the kids are now actually staying at home and learning from home or doing Zoom like what we are doing now. So they don't necessarily have to worry about moving between during the summer. They can actually move a little bit later. And so that might be some of the reasons why we're seeing higher demand right now. And with higher demand, we also can see more multiple offer, the market being very, very competitive. Here's some results from our survey, from our annual housing market survey that we do every year. And some of you might have participated in the survey. It shows you the percent of, one of the questions that we ask is, the number of the transactions, whether it has multiple offers or not. Take a look. The number of multiple offers, the percent who received multiple offers, it is at close to 60%. It's actually the highest that we have seen for the last maybe 10 years or so. Last time we got, well, not 10 years, 7 years or so. Last time we had a higher multiple offer was in 2013. And remember, 2012, 2013, it was there were a lot of sales, partly because of home price being very, very low as well. But 60% is the highest, and the average number of multiple offer is close to 4.8 to be exact. So that's very competitive. Market is very competitive right now because of supply being very, very lean. Well, when I said we have very lean supply, let's take a look at active listings. We track active listings using MLS, and the supply issue has been ongoing for a while, but it's been very, very significant in the last few months. We have been seeing a drop of 40% or more in active listings in the last 3 or 4 months already. And in August, it actually dropped close to 50%, meaning we only had half the inventory that we had before compared to last year. And it continued to stay at a very high level. And that's because sellers might have a tough time in putting their house on the market for different reasons. You can tell me what the reasons are. Some could be they just don't feel comfortable right now to put their house on the market and have visitors come by, even though a lot of people are doing virtual tours now. But the other part of it also is a lot of times sellers are also buyers, right? They need to be able to buy a home before they sell their property. And they may not want to do that right now with the coronavirus situation going on. So that might be some cases, and I don't know what the reason could possibly be. But active listings continue to stay at a low level, and if you are used to looking at months of supply, that's 2 months compared to 3.6 months. Again, the lowest level since November 2004. Very, very low level. And properties are staying on the market for only 10 days, and that's the record, 11 days, that's the record low also. And that pushed up home prices. As I said, home prices at 7,012, that's the second month in a row that actually we have statewide median price up above 700,000, and it's up by 17 or 18%. Now, I don't have a chart here, but you can definitely see that it bounced back with another V shape, just like sales. What I want to say is, though, The change in the price growth, yes, it's fueled by, motivated by low interest rates. There's no doubt about it. Below 3%, people actually can pay a low mortgage payment compared to before, excuse me. But the other part of it, why we're seeing the statewide median price a little bit higher than before, growing at a fast rate, is because of the change in the mix of sales. We have, as I showed earlier, we have more sales at the higher end. And when we look at the statewide median price, that's the price right in the middle. If we have more sales in the upper price segments, we're selling more luxury or high-end home, that tends to pull the median price up a little bit more. And that's one of the reasons. And the reason why I want to bring that up is because I want to tell you that the real price appreciation rate probably is a little bit lower than that. The mix of sales, we did some calculation, probably result in maybe about half the price growth for median price, meaning the actual price appreciation rate is probably somewhere around 8 to 9%. Right now, we're still seeing the market being very hot. And if you look at the price segment itself, it's still showing a double-digit gain. And we'll probably will continue to see that on a year-over-year basis. So if you look at the lowest price segments, it's showing a 19% increase compared to the previous year. Well, when I say 0 to 20%, that is roughly the range between 0 to 300, 0 to 400 or so. And the upper price range, the 80th percentile for the state, is probably about 1.5 million and up. You can see those price ranges continue to grow significantly, again, partly because of mix of sales, but we do have some price increase, real price increase because of low rates. And the upper price segments has been growing fast, and it probably will continue to grow at a pretty decent level for the next few months. But something that I want to cautious you about, is the growth in a mortgage payment. I mentioned low rates allow people to have, allow buyers to have lower mortgage payment, and they have been enjoying lower mortgage payment at the statewide, using the statewide median price. If you compare this year to last year, the mortgage payment continued to stay at a low level since going back to March 2019 because of rates started, trending down. You can see this light blue line. It remained below the 0% for quite some time. At one point in May, when price actually dropped, the mortgage payment actually dropped by about 15%. So for buyers, it's, if they were to buy the same house, with around the same square footage or so, they're paying 15% less. And that's why, you're seeing a rush in housing demand. But with home prices start rising, it's going to affect mortgage payment. In fact, in the last couple months, mortgage payment for a median price home actually increased by, in September, increased by 7.2%. The reason why I want to bring that up is because usually when we see increase in mortgage payment, at least in the historical context, when we start seeing mortgage payment increase, you start seeing some slowdown in sales. Not right away, but maybe a couple months or 3 months later. So this might be something to be aware of. Now this time around, it is, though, it's a little different because the change in the mortgage payment could be partly because of the mix of sales. We have selling more high-end home, more higher price home, and that might actually delay the process of sales slowing down. But I would say probably early next year, in the first quarter, maybe the second quarter, we'll start seeing some slowdown in sales on a year-over-year basis. Just keep that in mind. At the regional level, I want to show you some regional numbers. I'm going to show you the Southern California numbers, the LA, Ventura numbers, and also some city level data. And at the end, after the presentation, I'll show you where you will be able to get some city level data yourself from our CRL website. So take a look at the Southern California. Southern California home sales usually make up about 55% of total state sales. So it's not a surprise to see that we are growing at the same pace as the state, maybe even stronger at 25%. And on a year-to-date basis, it's actually below last year. When I say year-to-date basis, the first 9 months of the year, we're still below last year by 5%. Price-wise, it's also growing pretty significantly, 15% above last year's level. Again, that's because of tight supply and property staying on the market for a very, very short period of time. Now, here are I'm highlighting, LA and Ventura. Now, here are the counties in Southern California, LA being the biggest one. And if you take a look at, the sales growth, all these counties are growing at a very robust level. Now, you notice though that LA, even though it's increasing by double digits growth rate, it actually is compared to some other counties. They're not growing. It's not growing as fast. It has been in the last few months. LA actually has been lagging compared to some of the other counties. In fact, I think 2 months ago, LA was still down year over year, but other counties were actually growing already. So LA is picking up some steam though. So hopefully it will start catching up. But for the first 9 months, again, it's still down by about 10%, while the other counties are actually down only by single digit, with the more affordable counties like San Bernardino and Riverside actually down only by 2%, 2.5% or so. San Diego only down 0.9%. Now Ventura is down around 6.2%, but it's growing at a very fast pace. One of the three counties that actually increased by more than 30%. If you take a look at the trend of the pending sales, again, to show you what we can expect in the next few months or so, the solid red line here, LA, shows that it's actually still continue to grow for pending sales. So that suggests that in the next month or so, we will probably continue to see double-digit gain for LA. Now, Ventura is a little different. Ventura looks like it actually dipped a little bit in the current month. I have to say, part of it could possibly be the MLS issues. We have some MLS change, I think, in Ventura recently. So that might actually be one of the attributes of why we're seeing some slower pending sales. We will correct this information if there is anything to correct. We'll take a look at that and see if it is due to some technical issues. Now, in terms of supply, though, it's pretty clear that we are seeing tight supply everywhere, but also definitely in Southern California, Ventura dropping quite a bit by 62% as compared to San Bernardino, 65% or 66%. Now, San Bernardino is the most affordable county in Southern California, so it's not a surprise that it continued to decline quite significantly. In LA actually dropped by about 45. So housing supply remained tight, and that actually pushed up home prices as well. We see home prices up double digit for every single county, with LA actually up about 12, 13%, and Ventura up close to 20%. So continue to see some increase in price, tight supply in throughout the Southern California region, and sales continue to improve. Now I'm going to show you three slides, three city level slides. There are a lot more, on our website, but I'm going to show you some sample slides. This will give you, these are slides that you can actually download from the CR website. It shows you a snapshot of the city. It gives you idea about price, sales, and supply. If you look at Agoura Hills, for example, it increased in price by about 20%. Pretty consistent with what we're seeing at the state and at the city county level. But in terms of price, it also increased quite significantly by 50%. In terms of days on market, still stay on the market for a little longer. Sales to list price ratio, 97.6%. So buyers are still having the ability to talk about discount, or maybe sellers are actually putting up their price at a higher level than they should have. Same thing for price in Calabasas, up 30% compared to last year. Sales up about 13 or 14%. And of course, supply down in all areas. Westlake Village down 60% as far as active listings. Sales and price both moved up. Sales actually increased quite significantly in Westlake Village compared to the year before. So these are some sample. I'll give you the link later on to tell you where you can download some of those cities that you might be interested in. Now let's take a look at the outlook. Now I've given you some information about the market conditions, the current market conditions. Where do you think where should we expect the market to be in the next few months and in coming year? Now, first talk about the economy. If you look at the economy, there are a lot of different shapes that we've talked about. I gave you a V-shaped recovery before, on the housing market. Now we're probably not going to see a V-shaped recovery for the economy, but we may see actually a U-shape or swoosh shaped. But recently, people start, being aware that we may actually be in a K-shaped recovery. That is, as I mentioned, some sectors, some people are going to the growth projections for some sectors are going to be faster for some areas, but not so much for others. The sectors that are actually recovering includes the technology sectors, even the retail sectors, the software sectors. Again, those the sectors that they can operate from home that actually benefit a little bit more compared to some of the other sectors that include travel, entertainment industry, hospitality industry, food services. Those are probably going to struggle a little bit until we see a vaccine or until we see, a cure. So that's why it's a K-shaped recovery, because, some part of the economy is going to get better, but some other parts are going to continue to struggle. And because of that reason, we expect some growth, but in 2021, but we definitely expect a decline in 2020. This year, even though it's going to improve in the fourth quarter as well, the GDP, the economic activity, will dip by 3.6% in 2020 and then bounce back in 2021. And as far as the labor market is concerned, yes, we will see some growth in jobs, but it's not going to grow very, very fast. And as such, the unemployment rate will be 1% in 2021. So it's still not going to get back to the level that we were at until maybe 2023, as I mentioned. And California-wide, statewide, we also will grow, but we're growing much slower in terms of job growth. We expect to lose about 13% of total job growth, but only increase by 0.4%. So let's talk about, briefly talk about, the impact of presidential elections. Usually, now I'm keeping it general because I'm not specifically talking about this elections, but what the effect is usually when we have a presidential election. So what we did was we look at, how sales and price react after or before and after an election. And we look at, the election year versus non-election years. And usually, if you look at sales of the last 20, 30 years of election years, they actually tend to be up after the elections, or in the fall and the winter time period. And that could be because some of the uncertainties are gone, and so they focus back on the housing market. Now this time around, we definitely will see some increase in home sales, and it may not necessarily because of the election, though. It is because of primarily because of the coronavirus situations, which push the sales activity towards the end of the year. Now, as far as price is concerned, price also seemed to react a little bit more positively after the end of, towards the end of the year after the elections, or when the elections is close to being done. So if you take a look at the blue squares, they are above the triangle bench mark here, which suggests that those years, election years average, is better than those non-election years average. So home prices also are expected to increase more than some of the non-election years this year, partly because, again, it's because of low interest rates. So let's take a look. I'll give you some idea of what we can expect for the rest of the year, and then I'll give you the idea of what we can expect in 2020, 2021. Some of you may have attended the CAR reimagined forecast. At the forecast, this was what we predicted, the light blue line. We expect sales actually to kind of slow down in August, September, and then November and so on. But with newer numbers that came in the last month or so, we started seeing that the market is actually stronger as far as sales are concerned. We expect now that sales are actually going to stay above last year's level. And even for December, it will continue to increase by 0.5% or so. And that is actually going to help the entire year sales to improve, which I will show you shortly. As far as price is concerned, we expect these are the projections that we had before, the green bars as compared to the blue bars. The blue bars definitely suggest that we have a stronger median price increase as compared to before. And again, it has to do with the fact that we have a change in the mix of sales. We are selling more high-end home sales. So these are some of the key assumptions before I show you the numbers. The baseline is we expect next year at the beginning of, in the first half of the year, we probably will have a vaccine. We don't expect a significant surge in the COVID cases. There will be some increase, but probably not a significant increase. The next year will grow at a 4.2% growth rate, with income growing at 3.3%, but interest rates will remain low, at or below 3.1%. We're going to see some tight supply situation continue. Now, many people are probably concerned about whether we're going to see distressed sales. If you remember back in 2007, 2008, we had a significant number of distressed sales. It made up about 60% of all sales for a year or so. This time around, we're not going to see that. Our prediction is the distressed sales probably will make up less than 8% of the total sales. And as far as their discount compared to market price, probably will be less than 10% discount, rather than last time we were like 40% discount, 50% discount, or something like that. So if that is the case, we expect sales actually to increase or inched up slightly by 0.2% compared to the previous year in 2020. And 2021, we actually increase a slow increase of 3.3%, not robust, but 3.3% increase. But for price, we expect this year to have an 11.6% increase compared to last year. And next year, it will continue to increase by a more modest 4.4%. And the reason why it's more modest is because I mentioned about mix of sales. This next year, we probably will have a couple of things that actually keep prices down a little bit. One is the change in the mix of sales back to normal. That actually will lead to more sales in the lower price segments that could actually put some downward pressure on the median price. But the other part of it is, I mentioned earlier about foreclosed sales, distress sales. There might be some distress sales in the market that actually may lead to some downward pressure on price as well. But we're still seeing a growth of 4.4%. As far as interest rates are concerned, it will be at 3.1% next year. Now, I'm going to wrap it up with the new normal. I gave you the short-term outlook. I just gave you, what happened in 2020 and 2021. But there are some long-term changes that could happen because of what happened to our lifestyle. Because now employers allow people to work from home a little bit more. And so there might be more remote working. People are more flexible in buying a home where they want to be rather than have to be next to their house. So home is actually more important than before because you're now not just resting and sleeping at home, but you're also working. So you might actually need a bigger house, or your clients might need a bigger house. Now, the shelter in place, the home and shelter means a little different now compared to before. Like I said, it used to be just a place to rest, but now you need to work at your home. So, people may used to want an open floor plan, but now they may not necessarily want to. They want something a little bit more. They need to have some privacy, when we're conducting meetings like this. So they may actually want a different floor plan. They may also need a little bit more space, a little backyard, because they may not necessarily want to go out as much because of the coronavirus situation, of course, in the short term, but because they are confined to in a more remote area now than before. So now, people are asking for a little bit more in terms of, their house. But I also mentioned about flexibility. People don't need to commute as often as before. It is possible that a lot more people will have to work from home as compared to 6 months ago, as long as their employers allow them to do so. And some of the research in the bullet point that I listed here suggests that people would want to live a little further away or move away from where they used to live, where they're living now, if they're allowed to. So if that's the case, you might actually see more home sales in more affordable areas. We have already seen in some of the resort communities like Lake Tahoe, Lake Arrowhead, seeing significant surge in sales because people decide to move over there, buy a bigger house, and be closer to the nature. So there will be some changes. There will be changes on the supply side as well, because on the if retail sales, if retails, sorry, if retail and office spaces, if they're not as much, if we don't have as much demand as before, then some of those will be turned into residential properties. Then we actually may lead to more supply in the future. Same for malls. Malls actually may be turned into homes. And we have already seen some of those turn into condo in some other states. So with that said, there will be changes. Here are my concluding remarks. There will be some improvement in the economy. It's going to take some time though. The coronavirus is the wild card, and we are seeing some increase in sales. The housing market is the rare bright spot. But the tight supply is going to hold back some of the sales in next year. That will actually put some upward pressure on price. We're going to see some increase in price as well. Now, but it will dictate by not just inventory, but also by interest rates as well. And there will be some long-term changes, as I mentioned. There will be some new normals, and we just have to see how that goes. And with that said, here's my here's where the presentation will be posted in the speeches and presentation section on the CR website, and my email address is oscarw@car.org. So hopefully I give you a pretty good insight of what we can expect next year, and I don't know whether we have time. If we have time, we can do a little Q&A. If not, then feel free to send me an email afterwards. I'll pass it back to you, Meny.
Oscar, thank you as always. That was pretty incredible rain of information. We don't have time for Q&As, but I do have the presentation ready to e-blast, and whoever is watching and whoever was watching and dropping the call, you're also gonna get 2 parts of the recordings. Once again, apologies. We found the hacker and is now being punished. It's just a mistake, glitch one of our guys in the different offices that we thought that there's no meeting. So anyways, Oscar, thank you so much again. I think, we'll try to circle back maybe after the first of the year and see how things will evolve and change, etc. And maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 months from now, all the stats, all the data you're going to gather, you and your team, could be interesting to see, post election, post different kind of propositions, right? And whatever is going to happen, like health-wise, how things will change.
Yeah, definitely. We should follow up. Let me know. Give me a heads up. And again, my email address is there at oscarw@car.org. I know we didn't have chance to really talk about some of the questions that you might have, but feel free to send me an email.
Yeah, great. Oscar Wei, Senior Economist for CAR. Thanks again. Appreciate you as always.
Thank you, Meny, for inviting me again.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. And once again, I'm going to share that with you guys, with the team. Let me jump back to my slides. If I'll find them over here. Give me a second. We only have a couple of things just to share. Want to make sure that you guys are aware on November 12th. Right, we have the
yes, the business planning clinic with Ashley Lund. So it's not too late to register. November 12th, that's happening, and it's the MREA business planning clinic. So those of you that are familiar with the Red Book and the MREA, that's something that's going to be available to you. It's very affordable. A lot of our top agents are involved that are going to participate. So just make sure that you are, thanks Meny for pulling that up. So just make sure that's available to you. All of your leadership has the link. We've been posting it, but we'll keep posting it again. If you can't register, you're having a hard time, give us a call. We'll help you.
November 12th, it's a whole day session instead of 2 days, only one full day. I think it's a must. So, you know, definitely make sure to make yourself available. And then we're going to have 2 touches. One is 2 weeks after, well, actually 13 days after, forgot the date, but it's the Wednesday, 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks after that. And we're going to have about hour and a half session. And in that hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours, we're also going to have, thank you, John and Darrow, to set up all these sessions with KW International worldwide. We're going to have the CEO of worldwide, and we're going to have some agents or owners of KW in different countries participate and just give us kind of insight and what you guys can do and network, etc. So that's going to be exciting. And then 2 weeks after that, we're going to have another session more deep into like, let's talk about resolution and the goals and measurable, etc. So once again, to put our head into 2021 and, you know, go full force. Stephanie, Ignite.
Yes, so it's that time again for Ignite on Saturday, November 14th from 9 o'clock until 3 o'clock, our Ignite Marathon. So we have a lot of new peeps that are coming on board. This is a great way to get a really overall encompassing tutoring, really, if you will, to set you up for success. And it's also good for all of you peeps that have been in the business. No matter how long you've been in the business, it's a lot of great information. So get signed up for next Saturday's Ignite Marathon from 9 till 3 o'clock.
Yeah, thank you for that. And we're going to have the full list of the trainers, by the end of the week. So looking forward to that. Thanks, guys, for dressing up and goofing around and having fun. Limited capacity, but once again, that's just part of the reality that we're in. And we are having planned out a picnic, or it's like a Thanksgiving picnic, if you may, something small. I think Long Beach is going to be outside in the patio, yes. Right? In the courtyard, sorry. And then Calabasas West Side, we're going to have something in a park on a Sunday right after Thanksgiving. So more information to come, more details to come. Newsweek, Keller Williams is #1 in customer service. Congrats, guys. It goes down to, everybody, agents and office staff and leadership. So shout out to all of you. And maybe, Kim, if you can make sure the offices will share that image via email. So agents can maybe just, put it out there and take pride in that level of service they provide. And with that, once again, ask away, Senior Economist. Thank you so much for your time. And guys, thank you for staying a bit longer than expected. And later this afternoon, we're going to get a copy of the entire entire presentation of Oscar and recordings, 2 parts of the meeting. Thanks, everybody. Have a good Wednesday. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, Oscar.
Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you as well, Oscar, as always. Let me see over here, put some music. There we go. Thanks, everybody.